Hi, this is Katie Shell, and this is Being Lilith. And in this episode, I'm focusing on society's expectations of what our bodies are supposed to look like and how that is one of the most critical suppressions that we face in our everyday life and preventions, obstructions from us, suppressions, whatever, of us being able to really love and trust our bodies and listen to what our bodies need, because that there is this patriarchal, um, systematic oppression of what a body is supposed to look like, what it is supposed to be. There was an article I just saw um, somewhere. Somebody posted it on Facebook. It was an article, though. It wasn't like some random blog, but it doesn't matter. It was this idea that for ambitious women, being thin is a reasonable, like, thing to pursue, because if you have that body type, you are get paid more, you're more respected, and blah blah blah. And all of this is this fear of soft bodies, of round bodies, of this femininity that you look at the ancient goddesses like the Venus of Willendorf. And I'm trying to remember, I've recently talked about that in, I don't know if it was a Being Lilith video or another video, but the body, the fullness, that is something that is the softness and strength that comes from the strongness. These bodies give birth. At least some of them do through their bodies, or they carry children and they nurture everybody through the body. And that there's this fear of that natural expression. Not that there are any, but again, there's no wrong or right way to have a body, including the desire to change our bodies for ourselves, to look more like who we want to look like, who look more like how we want to feel, how we want to represent ourselves. Because that's really, and I think I probably talked about it in the one where I talked about the nail polish, but this one's a little bit deeper. Because it's so important to me. I mean, just because of my own personal experiences as being this voluptuous woman my whole life. Even as a teenager, I was never a thin person. I was thinner, when I was 14, but I was never conformed. My body never conformed to the standard of society, but it was always kind of desired at the same time. And there was this conflict for me of yo-yo dieting to try to conform while still trying to love myself and all those things. And when I finally just let go of all of that, I became much healthier. And I encourage people to tune into what their bodies really want. And this doesn't mean and I kind of call it the Dolly Parton rule. Like, it doesn't mean that you can't do things to shift your body and change your body and put the image that you want and glamours and all of those other things. I talked again about that a little bit more in the beauty industry video. This is again less about beauty and more about the general oppression of bodies. But if you want to change things, if you want to get a ton of plastic surgery, or you want to tattoos, or whatever you want to do to decorate and enhance your body in the way it feels right to you to express yourself, I don't have any judgment on any of that. And in fact, I encourage people to, because you get judgment on that too, right? You get judgment if you cheat or take the easy way out in order to achieve the body that you want to achieve. And then you get suppressed for having a body that doesn't conform to society standards. And so part of the reason that this is a Lilith video is about suppressing our instincts. And we should, when it comes to trusting because we don't trust our bodies, right? We stop trusting our bodies when we are told that things about our bodies are wrong and that they need to be fixed, that our body is a problem that needs to be fixed, not a vehicle for us to express ourselves. And so the more we get oppressed, that we are bombarded with this, even especially frick within a lot of kind of mainstream spiritual bypassing bullshit. But as soon as somebody is pushing an agenda about a way that your body is supposed to be in order to be acceptable, in order to be loved, in order to be desired, in order to be healthy, in order to be spiritual, your body needs to be X in order to be X, in order to be Y, in order to achieve Y, your body needs to be X, or whatever. Like, any of that stuff is obviously is something that really bothers me, because I've been through it. I've been through a lot of it, and it doesn't, but because of that, I have struggled with finding ways to share that. So sometimes I kind of throw in the little astrology stuff here. So my Lilith is, again, conjunct Chiron in the 10th house, which means that there's something about how I express my body that is different, and it's also something that is very visible and something that I bring out into the world. So it makes perfect sense that I have this body for people to see that you can dance, and you can be desirable, and you can be nurturing, and you can be independent, and you can be sovereign, and you can be powerful, and you can be all of these different things in a body that society has deemed incorrect. Now, I will say that I'm very lucky in a lot of ways. I kind of fit a lot of the sort of fat unicorn stereotypes. You know, I have the curves, I'm white, I'm cis relatively. And so I have a privilege with that. And I'm healthy. You know, I don't have my body. Instead of listening what other people tell me my body is supposed to be. Because I have done that in my life. I have done the Atkins diet, and like all of the starving myself and exercising to a point where I would get sick. And I stopped doing that. I had one doctor say, I had a good doctor who told me that I'm fine, that I'm healthy. But even if I wasn't, and I think a lot of, I'm about to get on a really high soapbox here, but I think a lot of people with weight issues, those aren't their real issues. Their issues are the things that they're doing to try to control their weight, and therefore ignoring the actual needs of their bodies. And when you stop doing that, and that's why I follow a lot of stuff with intuitive eating, health at every size, joyful movement, all of these things where we're listening to the cues of our bodies in order to figure out in order to move them, because all bodies need to move, and in order to feed them, because all bodies need to eat, instead of following regimented diets, which, again, people tell you to control your weight or whatever you need to do. And I think, and there's evidence, there's scientific studies, evidence, especially you can look a lot at the health at every size stuff, that supports that says when we stop trying to control, micromanage our eating habits, our exercise habits, that we are better able to tune in to the actual needs of our body. And the fact is, for me, when it comes to eating, I do end up eating kind of a keto Atkins sort of a diet most of the time, because my body usually needs greens and protein and doesn't like a lot of sugar, but sometimes, and doesn't like a lot of carbs, but I don't vilify them. And sometimes, depending on my energy, depending on my mood, or whatever it is, I do eat those things, and I don't hold back on any of it. And I find it becomes much more balanced, and it becomes much more, again, intuitive. And there's a lot of stuff about intuitive eating out there that's true. There's also a lot of stuff that's intuitive eating that is kind of pseudo intuitive eating, that's really kind of weight loss um, um, products or promotion disguised as intuitive eating. And people do lose weight on that. I mean, when you tune into your body adjusts and it becomes healthier, and whatever your body is supposed, the kind of the healthy physical form for your body, it will take on. It might, so that does happen to people. Oh yeah, I lost 50 pounds when I started intuitive eating and doing joyful movement. Well, good. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to say that there is, but that's not the desired result. And when we put that as the goal, rather than the goal being to listen to our bodies and trust what they are asking us to do, whatever it is. And again, I'm focused really on kind of this weight stereotypes right now, whether it's you need it, or a thin person, you need to eat a sandwich. Well, I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry, so I'm not going to eat. Now, I know there's people who have things where they forget, where they have other things going on, where they sometimes forget to feed their bodies, and that it is helpful to have some sort of chat for yourself. But that's something you recognize. You know that my hunger cues don't necessarily, you notice that, my hunger cues don't really work that well, but if I don't eat for 4 hours, I get cranky, or I don't have enough energy, or blah, blah, blah. And then, to make sure that you fit something in, to remind yourself to eat sometimes. Because I'll go a whole day, I'll get into, especially when I'm teaching or writing or something, and I'll get into a flow of something that's important to me. And I'll forget to eat, and then suddenly it's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, and I'm cranky and I'm hungry, and my rage Lilith really comes out, because I do get that, what they call it, hangry. Definitely have that. So if I have to make sure that I have things, and that's one of those times that I do go for the simple, like I have protein drinks that have a lot of sugar in them, but if I take one of those when I haven't eaten in a while, and I need an energy boost, I need some calories, I need some nutrition, those are perfect. And it gets me through, so then I can kind of tune back into my body and eat the rest of the things that it needs whenever it does, or not kill people, which is always my ultimate goal, because there is definitely that raging Lilith that I started this whole series with still lives within me, and she still exists, and she still comes out to get angry at somebody. Sometimes it tends to be focused on one particular person lately, which is kind of hilarious. And it's not really, but I recognize, like, the people who trigger me the most often, for whatever reasons, and that kind of tells me what I'm going through, but that's kind of a whole side conversation. But anyway, the point is, the more we learn to stop being afraid of our bodies, that kind of is like the next layer, is like we're afraid of not having we become afraid of our bodies because we can't control them. We want to control them, right? That's the patriarchy is about linear control, and the divine feminine is about fluidity. And our bodies are from the earth. They are the feminine. The way I use these words may not be the same way that other people use them, and I have this particular voice in my head that sometimes says. All right, so the divine feminine. So what I refer to as the divine feminine has to do with is really the embodiment of the physical earth, and and that is what our bodies are. Our bodies are our minds, linear, masculine. Spirit is all of it, but because when it's like the structured part is that masculine pushing, doing. Feminine is receiving, being, fluidity. And the more, and all of these things that are done to tell us the way to have a body, the way to eat, the way to exercise, that there is shame, so much shame around just list. I mean, even people who have so-called perfect, ideal kind of bodies in this world are affected by this, and probably more so, in some ways more so than others. I often feel blessed that I never had that kind of a body, and because I was able to deal with a lot of stuff much earlier than some people who are like in their 30s or 40s or whatever, and their body, and then they had those, you know, idealistic sort of bodies at one point in their life, even though they were, you know, what's the song? There's that Victoria's Secret song. Well, I mean, the people who didn't eat because they were afraid of gaining 5 pounds. Well, 5 pounds isn't going to make a difference on me. So I mean, I tried to starve myself at times in order to, I wouldn't even come close. I mean, I would maybe fit in a little bit better, but it's different. That doesn't really acknowledge the full spectrum. It's like, yeah, you can eat a piece of pizza and it's 5 pounds doesn't make a difference. It doesn't, it's not inclusive. And, you know, do your thing in your way. Don't be ashamed, but be aware that we have to get completely, we have to let that pendulum swing completely away from all kinds of body shaming. Because there's no line in the sand of what is too far, of what is other than what is right for me. And what is right for me is who I am in this moment, because I feel it. And I change things, and I know, oh, my body needs more exercise, or it's been eating a little bit too much of that, and I need to change, or I need to sleep more. But we don't trust those things because we've been conditioned not to. Because we've been conditioned to say that there is a spiritually acceptable way to have a body. And our bodies are gifts from the Mother Earth, and the way and a vehicle for us to experience. And if we are not experiencing life fully by tuning in to the wisdom and the desires and the beauty and the intelligence of our bodies, then we are missing out. And anything that is done to suppress that or oppress it isn't helpful. And it has no business being part of the discussion, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, discuss your issues, whatever you have, come up. And sometimes we have to go meander around to get to the truth, and that's fine. So again, I don't try to micromanage people's feelings, what they say, how they experience things, but I do try to steer a little bit. And just by being me, and that's the lovely thing about the whole Chiron thing, is when you just are, you don't feel like you have to fix anybody, because people just see who you are, and they learn from that. So I try to be out there. I just be me, because I don't know how else to be. And then who me is changes all of the time, and I'm okay with that. And I could rewatch this video in a year. I probably will, because I like rewatching my videos, because there's a lot of hidden wisdom in there that I miss, because I'm channeling, even though right now I sound more like I'm babbling. There's stuff that comes through when I'm talking to a camera that I don't think about and I forget about, because I'm sharing this experience with somebody else, however that looks. So in closing, do you. Don't be afraid of your body. Anybody who tells you your body, that there's a certain way to have a body, is doing it to suppress your natural instincts. Even if they're not aware of it, even if they think that they're helping you tune into it, they're not. But take the road you need to take. If you need to meander a little bit through diet land and trying different things, just try them out and see what feels true to you, and know that that can change, and know that it isn't something that is inherently wrong with you, that the thing that is wrong isn't you or your body, or being thinner or being fatter or being whatever other thing, being those are kind of the more muscular, more, I mean, those are all things that we can, that there's, to a certain extent, we can, it doesn't matter. You know what, I'm going to stop with that and just say, listen. The more you can tune into what your body actually needs, the healthier you're going to feel, and the more grounded you will be. And if you're not dealing with those issues, you're not really grounding. So thank you for joining me. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you again. Bye.